Washington, Kentucky, this is the SEC on ESPN. It is a rainy Saturday afternoon. If you listen to all the critical fans, they would say the sky is falling. Number 19, Kentucky, playing host to Utah as the Cats look to bounce back from a loss to Seton Hall. Welcome courtside. Tom Hart alongside Jimmy Dykes. There are plenty of Chicken Littles in Big Blue Nation who insist that the season has ended because of a second loss. What say you?
Well, Kentucky rattled off 7 wins in a row, and they lose in overtime to Seton Hall. And then they also lose a player this week in Quade Green. You know what? The schedule is not waiting on Kentucky to get better. I sense there's a real urgency from John Calipari and his guys within that practice facility. They're all fine. They're good with one another. They understand the importance of today's game and the next 3. Very critical time for a young Kentucky team. Do they bounce back after a loss? Do they continue to funnel the ball inside to Reed Travis and P.J. Washington? Those two dudes right there are a load to handle on the low block.
And they are back home at Rupp. Utah's 4-4 on the season. They're coming off of a loss to their rivals from BYU. This could be a statement game for Larry Kraskowiak's squad. Second time they've rolled off this starting 5. Cedric Bearfield is their point guard. Booth Gotch will handle it on the perimeter as well. Here's Gotch into the paint, and Bearfield another touch. This is a Utah team that makes its living from behind the arc. 9 threes a game. Shot clock now at 4. Gotch from deep. And he's off the mark, but the Utes had their hand on it for a moment. Now Ashton Hagans will push for Kentucky. Tyler Hero running the floor.
That's what Kentucky wants to get back to. They literally walked the ball up the floor several possessions against Seton Hall. This is a rip-and-run team, talking about Kentucky.
John Calipari put it succinctly yesterday. He said, if you want to run, you have to run.
It can't get much simpler than that, can it?
Kentucky scoring 84 points a game, but coming off their second loss. It was at Madison Square Garden to Seton Hall a week ago. Corner 3 from Booth Gotch, freshman out of Austin, Minnesota.
Thomas started with a paint touch. And that's where Kentucky's three-point defense, one of the worst defensive teams in the country from the three-point line. It all starts with their inability to keep the ball out of the paint for those paint penetration shots.
Kentucky's made superstars off of some opposing three-point shooters. P.J. Washington coming off of a monster game. Can't hit his first shot. He had 29 and 13 in the loss.
I expect to see a heavy dose of zone out of this team from the Pac-12 wearing black. It's a 2-3 alignment. They'll do a lot of switching within the possession. And Kentucky's going to have to make some perimeter shots in this game.
Here's Bearfield, transfer from SMU. Utah taking only 3s so far. Now Hagans. Knocked away by Gotch. And the breakout. Beautiful reverse. And the freshman's got all 5 for Utah.
If you're from the state of Kentucky, he reminds me of the kid from Louisville the last 3 years, Deng Adel. Long-armed athlete. If Utah has a future pro, it's number 11 in black. With that body and that skill set, he gets in the weight room. He could be a handful.
Tyler Hero off the mark from deep.
Did you hear the crowd?
Yeah.
Now 0 for his last 7 from the three-point line, and Tyler Hero is getting wide open looks in the Kentucky offense.
It was a groan, and the confidence for that young guy who is here to score and here to shoot has to be waning a bit. Gotch got another.
Yeah, you switch on the ball screen, and the switch defender doesn't get outside the three-point line, and Gotch just dials it up with a lot of room and rhythm.
Straight ahead, Hagans can't knock it down. Donnie Tillman with the rebound. Booth Gotch on the left wing. Let's see if they get it to him. Bearfield tried a wild reverse. Another offensive board for the Utes, and Jace Johnson has his first bucket.
Yeah, Tom, Kentucky's getting outworked. I know it's only the first 3 minutes of the ball game, but they have been outworked, not on the offensive glass, and Utah with more energy to start this thing.
Here's Keldon Johnson. His first shot goes. Seems like when Kentucky needs energy, Keldon Johnson's going to be the one guy to provide it. Gotch has 8 of Utah's 10. Tyler Hero jumped the passing lane. Hero to the left hand. Great body control.
He's a kid that's not afraid to shoot a gap. He plays defense with a gambler's mentality. John Calipari likes it. He has not lost his defensive confidence with that basketball not going through from the three-point line.
Averaging a steal and a half per game. Not the matchup Kentucky wants. Bearfield going by Reed Travis high off the glass.
Good job by Bearfield to dance for the ball and kept Reed Travis engaged long enough for the blow-by.
Hero. And he draws a foul from Jace Johnson. Our first whistle of the game. And Tyler Hero will be at the free throw line when we return.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Capital One Saver Card. What's in your wallet?
Always a special experience for those from Big Blue Nation. Utah with an early lead on the Cats, and that includes Heather Pigman and her father, Coy. Heather was the winning bidder in ESPN's ESPY auction to benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Heather and Coy attended Cats practice yesterday. They've been treated to a fantastic behind-the-scenes experience. They even got to meet Jimmy Dykes. You can help in the fight against cancer, too. Visit v.org/donate. All donations benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research. Kentucky's down a man coming into this game. Guard Quade Green informed John Calipari that he intended to transfer, averaging 18 minutes a game, but only 18 over the last 2 games combined. Jimmy, he could run the point. He could provide another shooter off the bench. They may not miss him tonight, but they figure to miss Quade Green in important spots this season.
I think they will. I mean, you lose a 42% three-point guy off of a team that doesn't shoot the three ball very well. And the only guard with SEC and NCAA experience is now gone. How about this? He had the best assist rate of 24% than anyone else on the floor when he was on the floor. A better assist rate than Ashton Hagans. I know he wasn't a great on-ball defender. He was a solid off-ball defender, and he was a good carrying teammate. I think that's a little bit more of a loss than maybe the Big Blue Nation realizes for this year. Maybe not for next year and the following year, but for this year, I think Quade Green was an 18-minute guy that was going to be impactful for 2 or 3 games like he was last year in the SEC.
I'm going to miss his personality. We've spent a lot of time around his team. Great kid.
Absolutely.
And we wish him the best in wherever he ends up. It's rare for John Calipari to have a transfer. Since 2015, Division I teams are averaging 10 transfers. Kentucky has seen 4 guys in that span leave for transfer. Hero, with the pressure defense, forces the turnover.
He has improved, talking about Tyler Hero, defensively more than anyone else from the beginning of practice. And John Calipari, he knows his club is not up to his defensive standards. His ball clubs are always in the top 25 in defensive efficiencies for the most part, but they are getting better. You can see it when you break down their film. It's time to start winning ball games if you're the Big Blue Nation.
He pointed out to us today, he said, I've aged and not gracefully.
No. This job is taxing.
Yes.
It is very taxing.
Reed Travis, they double the post. That is a constant at Utah, and a baseline jumper is an air ball. E.J. Montgomery off the bench. We'll talk a little bit about doubling the post. It goes back in many ways to what Rick Majerus used to do.
Yeah, all the way back to Rick Majerus, and he came up with the term monster the post back in the early 90s, actually when I was covering him in the Mountain West, and it spread through basketball. Utah still uses that term right now when they go big to big on the double team. Expect P.J. Washington and Reed Travis to get a heavy dose of monster defense from Utah today.
And Jimmy will explain that at the under 12 timeout. We'll give you a better look at what Utah does and how they communicate it. Here's Charles Jones, a shot like it won. Didn't realize Bearfield did not get it off in time. And a Utah turnover. Later tonight, 9 Eastern on ESPN, we'll have one more football game for your viewing pleasure. It's the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl from the Superdome. Middle Tennessee squares off with Appalachian State. You can always watch it live on the ESPN app. So Scott Satterfield on his way to be Louisville's head coach. He's taking both of his coordinators with him. And App will try to go to 4-0 in bowl games in their history. Jumper goes from Emmanuel quickly. And we are tied at 12.
Utah's not going to be in a hurry, though, to rush out at perimeter jump shooters of Kentucky. They're going to play the percentages and adjust their defense as those jump shots start to fall or not fall for the Wildcats.
Utah plays at an excruciatingly slow pace on both ends of the floor. That's by design defensively.
And Tom, that's a 2-3 alignment, and they try to keep that 2-3 zone intact for the most part, but they will switch within the possession of switching man. P.J. Washington is such a drive and a low block threat right now from the left side of the floor.
John Calipari said he was going to mix in some zone. They've shown some 1-2-2 3/4 court.
Yep.
What does that do for Kentucky?
Well, it makes the defense now have to get up and play with energy. I think Kentucky flipped the switch with their energy when they went to the press. If you press and you don't play with energy, you get exposed.
It's a 7-0 run for the Cats. Montgomery offensive board, great energy. Reed Travis follow no, and it's rebounded by Riley Batten.
Woo. You can see, though, how Kentucky's getting 44% on the offensive glass. How did that happen?
Rare push, and Timmy Allen's got a bucket for the Utes. We're tied at 14.
Transition defense is a sprinting, pointing, talking game. And Kentucky did none of the three.
Keldon Johnson's got it. Second three for the freshman out of Oak Hill. And there's the 1-2-2 again.
If you make a mistake, Kentucky will get you around that timeline. If not, they'll just back it up, and now you look up with Utah. You're at 19 on the shot clock, and you're not into your half-court offense. Number 2 in black as their leading scorer, Tom, and you cannot let him get hot early, and so far he has not made a shot in this game.
Riley Batten, 4-star recruit out of Oak Park High School in California, has got a bucket. Balanced attack for Utah so far after Booth Gotch scored their first 8. Quickly off the mark.
It's still a 2-3 zone by Utah, but they're coming up and covering that high post nail area right off the bat. So it gets that 2-3 zone out of alignment if you're breaking it down on film.
Barefield's floater is an air ball. May have gotten blocked. Shot clock at 14.
Barefield takes a ton of hard shots.
Corner 3 off the feed. Batten left it just short. And Utah can reset, but they turned it over. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Rick Majerus has left behind, not only Utah, but also college basketball. Jimmy's left the headset. He's headed to the floor, and we'll talk monstering the post.
The term monster the post started back in the 90s with Rick Majerus, double teaming the low block. On the air flight of the ball, that secondary defender comes down, and now Coach Majerus was so specific how he wanted it done. A 6-inch gap between the defender and the offensive player. The low man umbrellas the low block, make sure the ball doesn't come baseline. Hands reach for the lights. No fouls, no baselines, no splits. The footwork between the two defenders was critical. He wanted to make sure the toes came together. Again, no splits. The top defender, as they rotated down, hands reach for the lights, no fouls, keep a 6-inch gap. The ball doesn't come middle. The term monster the ball in the low block came from Rick Majerus, spread across college basketball. It's in effect today as well, guys.
Fantastic job. Speaking of the 1998 national title, Rick Majerus and his Utes had a big halftime lead, but David Padgett and Kentucky worked into that lead in the second half. Utah at one point missed 11 consecutive shots. Andre Miller, Michael Doliak weren't enough for the Utes. Kentucky with the biggest comeback in championship game history with another national title, the first for Tubby Smith. Jeff Shepard took home the Final Four's most outstanding player honors. The Cats captured their second title in a 3-year span. And it was part of a run between Kentucky and Utah where the Cats ended Utah's season in the NCAA tournament 6 different times, including in 1993. That Kentucky team made it to the Final Four. They're being honored here tonight. And Tyler Hero nails the jumper. He's got 7 early. So monstering the post, Jimmy back courtside now. That kind of took off throughout college basketball after Rick Majerus introduced it.
Yeah, the term did, monstering the post, and staff still use it all across the country today. It's even grown to Euro monster, which is now when you come from the low side, the help comes on the low side, the primary defender slides to the top shoulder. But that term, monster the post, became so popular. Teams that played against Majerus coach teams back in the mid-'90s, like our buddy Fran Fraschilla when he was at New Mexico, they had monster offense. specifically designed to go against that monster defensive help down.
Keldon Johnson for 3, and the Cats have extended their lead, now up 6.
John Calipari will tell you this is the best three-point shooting team he's had at Kentucky. He has not really shown up yet in games, only making 5.5 per ball game. But they can shoot the ball, especially Hero and Keldon Johnson and now P.J. Washington this year.
Well, they don't shoot a lot of them.
No, they
Donnie
don't.
Tillman knocks it down. Utah makes a lot, second in the Pac-12 with 9 threes a game. Tillman played at Findlay Prep, where he was a teammate of P.J. Washington. Played for P.J.'s dad. So they've been texting throughout the week. He said, I texted P.J. something simple. I'm going to dunk on him. I'm going to dunk on him Saturday afternoon. Reed Travis.
See the monsters? Yep. Automatically came down on Travis, and Travis does the right thing. Go to the far side of the floor. Very well done by Reed Travis. You have to have a plan against monster defense. Kentucky's plan, fan the ball to the weak side in the slot.
So you got Monster Energy. You got the Monstars, right, from Monsters, Inc. and the Michael Jordan movie.
You got the Monster Mash.
Yeah, there's a lot of monsters and monstering the post.
Watch Reed Travis on that last possession. The double team's going to come on the touch, on the air fly of the ball. You see the help defender come. Boom, they got him swallowed up. But what does Reed Travis do? He finds the other side of the floor. Right in the slot was Keldon Johnson. Bam, nothing but the bottom of the net. Very well done.
Keldon Johnson has started this game a perfect 4 for 4 from deep. Jace Johnson and sophomore Nick Richards tangling in the paint. 6 seconds on the shot clock. Up the inbounds. Here's Tillman. Crosses over his former high school teammate. Elbow was inconsequential. There'll be 1 second left on the shot clock. But Keldon Johnson pointing at the shot clock to his teammates.
A good job by PJ to keep moving his feet, and then Nick Richards with great timing to be the second guy off the floor in that layup attempt. It will be a lob attempt. It should be right now for Johnson, 34 in black.
Well, John Calipari came a third of the way down the baseline. You know, there's some folks who are anxious to see that swagger return to John Calipari and this Kentucky team. They think that Duke loss took it out of him.
And it did a little bit. But I think John Calipari yesterday, listening to him in his press conference, he's starting to fight back. And that's when Kentucky, over the years, have been at their best. That's got to be a lob pass. Yeah. You don't have time in 1 second to throw it to a 7-footer at his waist.
John Calipari stalking the sideline. He took issue with the reporters yesterday who suggested you should start recruiting perhaps 4-year players. He said, what do you want us to do? Start recruiting them have them for 2 years, send them on a mission, and then end up with them for 6 years?
or how do you walk into a living room and sit down in an official visit and say, I think you're a 4-year guy? You can say that once and the meeting's over.
Yes. I think Keldon Johnson's a great shooter. He's hit all 5 of his 3-point attempts. It's a 9-point lead for Kentucky.
Utah played the percentages coming in, and Kentucky's saying those percentages you read right now is not who we really are as a shooting ball club.
Nice opportunity from Bearfield. It will stay with Utah.
I've seen Keldon Johnson 8 different times this year in practices, 3 times in games. Not one time has he not been the most competitive dude on the floor.
Yeah.
And he's one of those kind of guys, you back up and give him space and say, we're going to dare you to knock down shots today. 3 and white will ring the bell about every time.
Larry Kryskowiak in his 8th season as Utah's head coach. He played a long time in the NBA. He was anxious and interested in playing this game in Rupp Arena. When he was first in the NBA, he was looking forward to playing the Celtics in Boston Garden. He wanted to go face the Lakers in the Forum. He's getting the pro experience here. Hagens with the breakaway dunk.
He needs a pro timeout right now.
So 30-19, Kentucky with the lead thanks to an 8-0 run over the last 1 minute and 24 seconds. And John Calipari and Kentucky certainly look like they have their swagger back.
Well, I think that's critical for Kentucky, Tom. It's a Kentucky team that is so young, and they're finding their way. You mentioned it earlier. John Calipari, to me, even with us yesterday, you sensed a little bit more of an urgency and a little bit more of a fight back in his tone. And his team is tracking that tone right now.
It's a Kentucky team that opened the season with the #2 national ranking, the highest since 2016. They opened the season, though, with a blowout loss to Duke. They allowed 118 points in that game. almost 1.5 points per possession. And they tried to recover and tried to recover. They won 7 in a row, but then lost last time out to Seton Hall. So an opportunity here back home with Utah in town. And we welcome those of you who are watching college football. Welcome to Rupp Arena, where the 19th ranked Kentucky Wildcats lead Utah by a score of 30-19. Courtside, Tom Hart alongside Jimmy Dykes. This is a Kentucky team that was waiting to find its swagger, its attitude. Over the last 90 seconds, they've gone on a run. It looks like that swagger's back.
Well, they need to get it back quickly because the schedule doesn't care about the lack of urgency that Kentucky maybe has played with at times. It's a young ball club. And this is a ball club right now that understands it's a Utah club they should beat on their home floor, and then the schedule gets ridiculous real quick. Keldon Johnson has come out of the blocks today with a fire under his backside in terms of knocking down shots that Utah has dared Kentucky to take early. They have packed that zone in and said, we're going to play the percentage numbers. And Kentucky is sending a message right back, we're a better shooting ball club than our numbers show. I agree. I think this is John Calipari's best three-point shooting club when the right guys are taking the shots. Keldon Johnson is a shooter. Tyler Hero is a shooter. P.J. Washington this year has doubled his three-point production as well, over 50%. They're moving the ball well. The monster double team of Utah on the low block has not bothered this Kentucky team. A very good start and a lot of fight and urgency out of these guys in white.
This performance so far for Keldon Johnson is reminding me of LeGerald Vick's performance earlier this season for Kansas. He went 9 for 9 from behind the arc, and you get to a point where you start hitting these shots where it's your teammates' responsibility to find you.
Absolutely it is. And it's Keldon's responsibility to keep moving. That's what great wing players do in the NBA. They are movers. They are hard cutters.
A 13-3 run for Kentucky. Cats coming off of a loss in Madison Square Garden against Seton Hall, came in overtime. Utah coming off of a loss to their rivals BYU in the 258th meeting. They've played that many times, Jimmy, and BYU leads that all-time series by a total of 2 games.
There is venom and passion and hate between Utah and BYU. I did that game several times back in the mid-90s.
Oh, it's real. It's real. And they'll play again after that series was interrupted. Larry Kriskovac actually bought Utah out of the series a couple of years ago.
Well, I've been so impressed with he and his staff. You know, they've been together, the entire staff, for 8 years. That is not the norm in college basketball. And well, their communication is crisp and clear. Terrific teaching head coach.
He's a really good coach, so much so that a lot of programs have come after him in the years to try and lure him away from Salt Lake City. And as a result of that, would you believe he's the 8th highest paid coach in college basketball?
That surprised me, yeah. Really surprised me.
Nearly $4 million.
I know one of the guys that's in front of him.
Yeah, you sure do.
In this building today.
You sure do.
Rip and run. Get the ball to the other side of the floor.
Hero, long jumper.
There's nothing wrong with his shot. I'm telling you, I've watched the last 30 three-point attempts from Tyler Hero. There's nothing wrong with his shot. It's just not going down right now. He has great pop into it. He sticks those feet. He releases it high, and there's the defense that Kentucky continues to harp on every day. Not meeting the standards of John Calipari coach teams over the years. Not yet.
Timmy Allen with the charge. Hero will take a seat.
Tyler Hero, coming in this ballgame, leads Kentucky with 91 field goal attempts on the year, but only 41% from the field. That shot has to start going down from 14 in white.
With Kentucky's youth over the years, this is typically the time of the year where they make a big jump, whether it's Camp Cal or the time that they have in between games on the practice floor. It's usually where they start to blossom.
Well, the players that will start to blossom are the ones that are going to pay the price and get in the gym and the craft center on their own, much like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did last year. And when the light came on in SEC play, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander deserved to be the best player on the floor.
Donnie Tillman with the push-off Thursday night on ESPN2 at 7 Eastern. We've got the College Hoops game of the night. Texas Tech takes on Duke from Madison Square Garden. Duke will not play a road game until January 8th in ACC action, so that's another neutral site. Also on the ESPN app, you can watch anywhere. By the way, the Cameron Crazies have started a GoFundMe to bring KJ Mora in as Keldon Johnson misses for the first time. Remember KJ Moore? He was a point guard for UMBC.
Yes.
So when Virginia comes to Duke in late January, he's going to come to the game to help torment Virginia.
Yeah, from what I saw from Virginia and Bahamas, they will not be tormented by whoever's in the stands. They have knocked that chip off their shoulder, and they don't care about all the UMBC chants. That's a team that could win the whole thing this year, Virginia. They are grown men, and Kihei Clark is a trigger guy that they need to get back after that wrist surgery.
They'll be on the road in the SEC this week. Virginia will put its unbeaten record on the line. They take on Frank Martin in South Carolina on Wednesday. Here's a list of your unbeatens. Another win for Michigan today. They're now 11-0. Kentucky transfer Charles Matthews at 25-10.
I love Texas Tech. I spent time with them this fall for a day down the program talking to their staff and their players. They have a soul about them in terms of a toughness and a grit and a collective togetherness in terms of exactly how they're supposed to play. That will be a heck of a ball game between Texas Tech and Duke. 0 back down from the Red Raiders. 0.
Gotch was off the mark, and now it's Parker Van Dyke, the senior from Salt Lake City, makes his first bucket. But he was impressive today. Won his shoot-around. He was running the team during shoot-around.
Well, he has to, because Cedric Bearfield, the senior point guard and leading scorer, for 2 days I've been around Utah. I have not heard Cedric Bearfield say a word. And that is a concern for Crisco and his staff. That should be a concern for Utah when your best player is not a talker. You have to get outside of yourself as a player, especially Tom as an older guy. You can say, Coach, that's not me. Well, it needs to be you. Get outside of yourself. Don't be selfish and make that step for our ball club. Everything you do as an individual affects everything as a team.
Bearfield on the bench right now. Kentucky again in the passing lane. There's Cedric Bearfield. Started his career at SMU playing for Larry Brown. Played just 6 games at SMU before transferring to Utah. Last year was his first full year in the program. He was a mid-year transfer.
Tom, he can go get his own. And guys that can get their own are always hard to guard, and they can go off for a 16 or 18-point half. Carson Edwards at Purdue, C.J. Massenberg at Buffalo, Ja Morant at Murray State, Miles Powell from Seton Hall. Those guys that can go get their own, you better stay attached for 40 minutes because 2 in black is one of them.
Kentucky's had some guys get their own against him this year. Bubba Parham from BMI.
He got his own.
He had 10 threes.
He got his and some buns.
Powell had 28. He had 6 threes, all of them late.
About that game coming up after us, Gonzaga and North Carolina. Interesting talking to Mark Few. He pointed out that in their last 2 losses, Florida State in last year's NCAA and against Tennessee last Saturday, they just got out physical. Like Florida State is grown men. Tennessee is grown men. That's the concern I have for Gonzaga when they get to March. Can they hold up against that physical style? This will be a rim rock.
P.J. Washington. He had 29 last time out. He told us sometimes I just need to be properly motivated. I play better when I'm mad. He needs to stub his toe every game. Get mad.
And that's not John Calipari's job description to make him mad. I mean, players have to motivate themselves, and if PJ understands that, then he just has to get in the right frame of mind. It should not take a butt chewing from the coach to get him going.
It was his high school coach who provided it regularly. He played for his dad at Findlay Prep. He said when my dad would pull me out of a game, he would just ignore me. That would make me mad. I'd go back in. I would take over games.
PJ trying to screen the top of that zone, and they're passer on A, receiver on B. We talked about Kentucky, their ability to really, their size can overwhelm you. Off baseline out of bounds plays, they can really cover up people. P.J. Washington with an example of it right there. Well done, P.J. Well done. Well, yes. I'm going to answer it like this. Coach, they lost a 42% three-point shooter off of a Kentucky team that has not shot the 3 ball well yet this year. He had a higher assist rate than anyone else that Kentucky put on the floor, including Ashton Hagans. Did he struggle guarding the ball? Yes, but he's not the only one that struggled guarding the ball. But Kentucky lost their only guard with SEC and NCAA experience. I think what would be best for Kentucky would Quade to stay this year. Maybe not next year or the following year, but I think there'll be some points in this season still, Coach, that they look down that bench and wish they had a Quade that could come in and stick a shot and give them 16 or 18 minutes. That's my thought on it.
Shot clock was at 8, so they'll reset it and give Utah the ball coming out of the timeout. And John Calipari met with him and said, hey, listen, I know what you're thinking about. You've got 2 more games left before the semester starts. You could wait,
right? Get
2 more games in. Let's see how it goes. And Quade basically said, you know what, I've made up my mind. I think now's the time. Beautiful move up and under. And E.J. Montgomery sent that one to the first row, but it's goaltending.
Well, you don't know who's in people's ears this time of the year, and you're already starting to see guys transfer out at mid-semester, and Big Blue Nation wishes Quade Green the best, as I do too. You and I both, we loved our time covering that kid. I thought he was a terrific teammate, but so far Kentucky in this game, they are moving the ball, sharing the ball, and then right guys taking the right shots at the right time. Well, does Reed Travis blow you up on that low block or not when he posts? My goodness.
They honored Mark Stoops' football team at the under-12 timeout. Reed Travis wouldn't look bad in pads, would he?
No, he looked great in pads.
Gotch with the drive.
Oh, Dane Adele from Louisville, I'm telling you. He's probably further along at this point than Dane Adele was. A long, smooth playmaker is Booth Gotch.
Booth Gotch's parents are from Sudan. His parents fled the Civil War. They came to New York and then Minnesota, and he has blossomed into a great basketball player.
But when he gets a full year in the weight room, his game's going to go to a whole nother level. He makes hard layups, and it's not easy for a kid at his size at 6'7". He's a straight line driver right now. At times he over dribbles in the half court and can make some crazy passes. They actually play him on the point some. But I think he has a tremendous upside for the Utes.
He's got a twin brother playing JUCO ball. He's got another brother playing at West Texas A&M in Canyon, Texas. Reed Travis in the paint.
Interesting, they didn't monster. They didn't Euro monster or straight monster and tried to guard 22 in white man-to-man. That will not work in this game.
Is Reed Travis the most valuable player for Kentucky to this point in the season?
Well, I think it's been a different guy maybe every couple of games. You know, look at PJ last time. And right now the offense is at their best with Reed Travis and PJ Washington getting touches on that low block.
There's Jace Johnson. Hagans poked it away. Shot clock is at 5. Utah's got to hurry. This is Bearfield working on Travis. Tried to step back. Hero came back. It's another shot clock violation. Fantastic defense by Kentucky tonight.
I want to go back to Seth Greenberg's question to me about shortening the rotation. And there's a lot of good in that from a coaching aspect when you zero in on your 7 or 8. And that could very well be the 1+ also that comes out of Quade getting out of here is John Calipari knows these are the number of minutes you're going to get. And when you're on the floor, I expect you to produce.
Travis will face up. Feeds Hero for 3. One of the things that John Calipari talked about with Tyler Hero's shooting slump is he said, listen, this isn't high school. You don't get 30 shots a game to shoot your way out of that slump.
No. Look at this kid with that ball, Booth Gotch. And that's a bad shot off of a great pass. But for a 6'7" kid to have the ability to get in the lane like he does with those long, quick strides, he has the low dribble, the high dribble, but the tempo that he uses them with is extremely quick for a kid with that length.
One of the reasons Reed Travis might look comfortable against Utah's defense, he faced it for 4 years at Stanford.
He tore them up with elbow drives. There's the post up, and they go man-to-man again. No monster on Travis. They just use the length to bother him. That's the one thing that Reed Travis struggles with is making shots over length. And if he doesn't get an angle, more times than not, this is the finished product.
Utah had real issues with BYU's size. Yolis Childs for BYU went for 31 in their game in Salt Lake City. Travis inside. In fact, he scored the first 12 points of the game, and they could not stop him. Open 3 in transition, but Bearfield had it skip off the rim. Nothing doing for Tillman. Hero will push it to Hagans. And Travis with the follow.
Reed Travis can really run. He's got a great set of paws, and he just blows people up on the low block. He plays low and loaded on the box, but he can really run. He's a willing runner. We talk about willing passers and willing defenders. He's a willing runner, rim to rim, both directions.
Hero on Bearfield. Shot clock already at 10. Washington helps out. Bearfield will attack. Shot clock is at 3. Gotch. Got it.
Good player.
He's got a dozen.
Good player.
Hero for 3 to end the half. Got it! Tyler Hero with the triple.
You know what, Tom? He didn't have time to think about it. He's in a shooting slump, and if you're a shooter, the worst thing you can do is think about your release. He had no time to do anything other than catch, boom, and get it out. He has been working over the last 3 weeks under Calipari, get that shot off quicker. And if he had not put that work in the last 3 weeks, he doesn't get that shot off in time. A huge momentum bucket, not only for Kentucky, but maybe that's the shot that gets Tyler Hero going, not only in this game, but for the rest of the season. Well done.
Hero had missed 8 straight. Let's get you to the studio. Here's Kevin Connors. Welcome back to the SEC on ESPN. Santa Blue Suit probably listens to Alice Bluegown. We get ready for the second half here at Rupp Arena with Kentucky in control, up 41-27 on Utah. Tom Hart alongside Jimmy Dykes. Keldon Johnson was magnificent in the first half for Kentucky. 5 threes, the most by any Kentucky player this season. And if this game is any indication, it looks like the Cats are hitting their stride offensively.
You know what? The ball has to deserve to go in when it leaves your hands. And think about this at the shoot-around today. You and I were talking with Calipari. The shoot-around had ended probably 20 minutes earlier, and he stopped and said, Keldon, get out of here. Keldon Johnson's a workhorse. And guys that are workhorses, ultimately, good things happen for him. Keldon Johnson's popping his feet in his shot right now. He's got good elevation, and he's taking clean looks. He's made spot-up shots. He's made shots off the bounce. He's made shots off of the step-in. And the passing for Kentucky has been so good in this ball game. Good shooting teams are good passing teams. Kentucky, Tom, only 3 turnovers today. They have zipped that ball around against the zone and gotten guys like Keldon Johnson spotted up for some really clean looks.
3 turnovers by the Cats, their fewest in a half this season. Meanwhile, 10 turnovers for Utah have turned into 17 Kentucky points. What else did John Calipari say about running? We need to be willing runners, and it starts with the outlet pass to push the ball up the floor.
They've been good in all those areas.
17 points in transition for Kentucky. Utah will open in their matchup zone as we start the second half.
It's a 2-3 zone alignment, but about midway through the possession, now they're in their switching man-to-man, and Kentucky has to move and cut, drive that basketball, and not play just straight zone offense against what is a zone defensive alignment that changes after about the first 10 seconds.
It's easy to identify when they are in it. It's harder to identify what they're going to do once they're in it.
Yes. So if you're Kentucky, you have to send cutters. You have to knife cut that defense and see if the defenders are switching it out, and then you know what you're in.
Tyler Hero for 3. Well off the mark with 4 seconds on the shot clock.
Close. The wind blowing? That wasn't even close.
Somebody left the door open. Cats have worked on his shot. Kenny Payne and Joel Justice, and getting a quicker release and being ready to shoot when he gets the ball.
Good cut.
Somebody really did leave a door open. Donnie Tillman just missed from 2 feet. Here's Higgins. Keldon Johnson. Got it.
Yeah, he's their best player. In terms of overall and how he impacts the game, not only as a defender, but a ball mover and a hard cutter and a shot maker. Kentucky's offense is at its best when they're hammering that thing inside to P.J. Washington and Reed Travis and letting Keldon Johnson play off of those box touches.
P.J. Washington, 4 points in the first half after 29 in the loss to Seton Hall last week. Here's Bearfield off the screen. And they get the switch they want. Bearfield down the lane. Follow no. Another chance. Tillman takes it out of there for Utah. No one picks him up. He will launch. And Kentucky dodged a bullet there. Tillman finds it again, but momentum carried him across the sideline.
Watch the footwork of Keldon Johnson as he comes into this shot over here on the left side. He's a guy that's going to, right there. Now he's going to he's going to really stick his shot. We'll come back to it after this, but he sticks his shot, which all really good shooters do. It starts from the ground up, and he's got that part down. Let's watch him again here. Watch Keldon Johnson on the left side as he comes into his shot. Watch the feet, right? 1-2, bam. That footwork, that hard pop into the shot really sets him up nice for a high release.
It's hard to miss the footwork for Keldon Johnson with the purple and the yellow. Reed Travis gets it deep, converts with the left elbow.
He plays low and loaded on the low box. Seldom will you ever see Reed Travis catch the ball in an upright position. He plays low and loaded. Utah probably has 60 set plays that they can go to. They ran through about 30 of them today in the shoot around. Good scoring play right there by Jace Johnson to move the big of Kentucky away from the rim and then get him on a hard back cut.
Here's Hero wide open. Catch and shoot. Largest lead of the game for Kentucky. Tyler Hero's second three of the game. Shot clock at 5. Hero helped deep. Booth Gotch from deep. And he held it there. He's got 15 now.
Somebody's coming out. It doesn't matter what the score is. There it is. Nick Richards. He's coming in either for Travis, maybe. Someone didn't switch out high on that late clock 3 by Gotch. And John Calipari says, not on my terms anymore.
Tillman gives it up. Batten might be playing hurt. He caught an elbow from Reed Travis a few trips ago. Here's Bearfield in the baseline. Gotch. Nice feed.
Gotch gotcha. He is so good at hard cutting off the ball. The kid's just a freshman, 6'7", but he's got a lot of stuff about him now that Utah can build around.
John Calipari with a timeout and a glare for his team.
Yeah, watch Reed Travis after the shot, right? Boom, right there. You just got it out. Like, I'm really surprised they didn't go look at it on the monitor when the kid took a shot to the nose. And then there's 11 from deep. No switch out deep enough.
Around the SEC, big win for Rick Barnes' Tennessee team today. They beat Gonzaga last week. Today I should say, they went into Memphis. They scored 102 on the Tigers. Won that one comfortably.
Yeah, those are the 4 ranked teams right now in the SEC. And to talk about a team that has a soul, Tennessee, that's it. They play grown man basketball for the entire 40 minutes. I think this, out of all the guard combos I've seen on tape or in person this year, Jared Harper and Bryce Brown, to me, are the best 2 guards that we have in the country right now in college ball. I say that because there's a degree of fear when you put an Auburn tape on. From a coach's perspective, you start thinking, how are we going to match these guys on both ends of the floor? Virginia's got a great combo. Ty Jerome, Kyle Guy. At Tennessee, Bone and Bowden are great. Michigan State, Winston and Langford, but there's not that fear factor that I have when I say, how do you guard these guys from Auburn and what they can do on the defensive end of the floor as well?
Auburn's got a little bit of everything this year. Jace Johnson draws the foul. He'll be at the free throw line trying for an old-fashioned three-point play when we return to Rupp. At Rupp Arena, always a good game, and this one good for a Kentucky fan. Kentucky leading Utah 50-36. Thursday night on ESPN2, 7 Eastern. College Hoops game of the night. Texas Tech and Duke meet up at Madison Square Garden. It's number 11 Texas Tech, second-ranked Duke. It's also on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Kentucky shooting 55%. They've hit 7 of 14 from 3. John Calipari has called it his best three-point shooting team he's had here now in 10 years.
That's
they
what he says.
Look like it.
Yeah, that's what he says. He is not back down from that statement because he sees things that The rest of us don't, and he knows how well his guys shoot the ball. It just hasn't always translated to a game yet, but will they get that part of it rolling? I've been impressed with Kentucky's zone offense today when you consider coming into today's game. As Reed Travis with a nice pull-up. Kentucky on the year had played 458 plays versus man-to-man defense and only 161 versus zone. So they have handled this zone defense of Utah very well in terms of the amount of time they've actually gone against so far this season.
I see your Synergy subscription is up to date.
I love it. Yeah, it tells you a lot, man. It tells you a lot.
Told me that Utah plays about 25% zone, but it looked like the last couple of games in this one that they've been playing a lot more zone lately.
Yeah. This kid's got a game now. He's got a game. Remember the name Booth Gotch from Utah. He's just a freshman. He's a long-arm defender right now at the top of that 2-3 zone.
He's got a season-high 20. Played AAU ball with Michael Hurt, one of the top remaining prospects in the country. Duke's after him. Kentucky's after him. He was here a couple of games ago visiting the Cats. Travis tracks it down. Shot clock is at 7. Hero trying to break it down. Here's Hagans. And an offensive foul on Ashton Hagans.
Haven't seen a lot out of Hagans today. Man, his role now is to light up the ball defensively on ball and get a paint touch either for a pass out or a paint touch all the way to the rim, and he pulls up a little bit short, and he got that left non-bounce arm out into the defender and takes a seat.
So Keldon Johnson back on the floor. Booth Gotch has 20. He's done it on only 10 shots. 4 of 6 from deep. Guarded by Quickly now, far side. Jones into the paint and lost the handle on it. Kentucky basketball. So I think the question going forward for Kentucky after such a hot shooting first half is, can they build on it? I mean, in some ways, if they can't, it would be like poking yourself in the eye the morning after LASIK surgery. You know, you've done everything right to get here.
And that's not good?
That's not good. Don't undo what has been done.
Well, certainly this game is far, far from over. Their offense, oh man, that was the same to me as the last play. But we talked Kentucky's schedule at the top of the broadcast. And from here, they go and play North Carolina in Chicago, I believe, and then at Louisville. And then their first game in SEC play is at Alabama. And that's no joke, 3 in a row. And there you see what is staring at John Calipari's team. And that's why you see and you sense the urgency and the fight back from John Calipari right now as a head coach.
They're going to take another look at that Quickly basket next time they get a dead ball. A 2 on the floor.
Is that 8 made threes now for Kentucky in this game?
We'll see if that one remains a 3 or if it's a 2. But yeah, 8 of 15. Nick Richards got a fingertip on it, but Jace Johnson has 11.
The alert defense by Hero, though, off the ball to come over and put a stop to the rim run of Johnson and at least make him pivot into a shot.
And there's Quickly again. Jones lost the handle on it. He's had a frustrating afternoon. Emmanuel Quickly coming into his own here in the second half.
Now, Kentucky's a team that they chart attempts to rebound. Not a lot of staffs do that. When they grade their film, they're talking attempts to rebound. And you want to grade out in that category about 90% as a team on the defensive glass, and about 85% is a good number on the offensive glass. And Cal is the guy that really tracks that.
And that's by an individual.
Yes, by individual. Yep. How are we doing when the shot's taken, the 5 guys assigned, are we grading out? And you get that 85, 90% in attempts to rebound, that's a good number. That's another reason why Kentucky is so good right now on that offensive glass, getting 44% of their missed shots.
It sounds to me like John Calipari talks more about the process of building winners versus winning or losing. And that had some fans upset with his remarks yesterday when he said, listen, I told our guys, act like we won the game against Seton Hall. It wasn't a moral victory. Corner 3 from Van Dyke. Utah not going anywhere. But the idea was we did everything right to win the game except a couple of shots late.
Yeah. But the message got mucked up a little bit because Cal knows Kentucky's supposed to win games, especially when they start the season as the preseason favorite to win the whole thing. Yeah. And you look up at their 7-2, and where's their quality win? And Big Blue Nation has some unrest right now. And I understand that.
P.J. Washington missed from point-blank range. Here's Allen on the run. And the two-hand jam for Timmy Allen. Utah has closed the gap. It's now a 9-point deficit for the Utes.
Game is far, far from over because Bearfield, Utah's best scorer, hasn't got lit yet in this game. And he's capable of going on an 8-9-0 run over about a 90-second period if Kentucky doesn't stay attached.
Travis Lucky didn't pick up an offensive foul the first time, and then Jace Johnson with a contact for his second personal.
Kentucky's defense has let them down now in the last 2 or 3 possessions. 3 possessions ago, you're going to see a hard drive right here by 2 in black. And when he gets to that baseline, he's going to read the offside corner. So it's a hard baseline drive, bam, and a baseline drift. Parker Van Dyke says, we ain't done yet.
Utah's trip to Rupp Arena is not going as they planned, but they're putting together a nice run. They're down 10 here. And every time you see, I don't know about you, Jimmy, but every time I see Utah basketball, the first name I think of is the late, great Rick Majerus.
I think there are some programs like that. UNLV, you think of Jerry Tarkanian. Syracuse, you're going to always think of Jim Boeheim, Coach K at Duke. I go right back to Rick Majerus and spent so many hours with that guy talking ball, as he used to say, and some of the great Majerus quotes, like great defenses are noisy. Never leave a shooter on the ball side penetration. Never dribble a loose ball. 6-inch gap. He always talked about a 6-inch gap on that monster post. And then one of my all-time favorite Majerus quotes when I was with him one night, I want one of every appetizer you have, and then whatever these guys want as well. That's maybe my favorite Majerus quote of all time. I want one of every appetizer you have, and there was a pause that drew us in. And he said, and then whatever these guys want.
Novak Topalovic with the foul. That's fantastic. Here's Reed Travis at the free throw line.
Post a man, not a spot.
What was the first thing you said? Good defenses are noisy?
Good defenses are noisy. Yeah,
explain that.
They are. Just you can hear them. You can hear a great defense, and that's an area that Kentucky needs to accelerate in right now. They don't talk loud, early, and constant. And you go and watch Virginia play, or you watch Michigan play right now, the 2 best defensive teams we have. They are noisy on the defensive end. Let's see if we can hear Kentucky right now.
I heard Keldon Johnson.
Okay, that's good. That's a start. One more.
Tyler Hero corner. Oh, and had a funky rotation on it. You got a foul on the rebound. It'll go against Utah.
Tom, he has to start making those shots at a 38, 40% clip. I mean, he's going to get open looks because he's a hard cutter. He's a big target. He runs hard, and he works to get his feet set. But that ball has to start going down if Kentucky's going to challenge for that SEC title.
There are a lot of young shooters in Kentucky's recent history that got up to really slow starts. Devin Booker comes to mind. But then, at about this time of year, they caught fire.
Yeah. Well, how much time is Tyler going to put in over Christmas break? That goes for everyone in the country. Well, they're giving Bearfield nothing. 2 in black. He is no factor in this game offensively right now.
He had 16 points last time out. He is 1 for 7 from the floor tonight. P.J. Washington on him now in the corner quickly with the foul. It's his first. Our Monday Night Football matchup features an NFC South battle in Charlotte. The Saints are looking for home field advantage throughout the playoffs and face off with the Panthers, who are just looking to keep their playoff hopes alive. 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. ESPN Deportes and available on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. And our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 6 p.m. I wonder how Joe Tess's beard is looking these days. We'll find out Monday. Quickly with his second.
How about the brashness of the Chargers the other night against the Chiefs?
That was beautiful.
Yeah. And that's what Kentucky fans expect out of their product on the floor. Like, play with that type of brashness and toughness and confidence and swagger. And we've talked about in this game, John Calipari, I think he's going back. I think he's going down that path with his team, trying to get that mojo back with his young team that was taken away from them right off the bat in that Duke beatdown.
Physical screen from Topalovic results in his second foul. You say you can start to see that attitude pivot a little bit back to what people expect.
I do from Coach Cal. I think it starts with Coach Cal and his tone with his team, his tone with us, not in a disrespectful way at all, but I'm sensing a fighting urgency from him, and easy call to make for the officials on illegal screen.
He has said numerous times that this is not an easy place to coach, that this season especially has been tough on him, but he's had to remind himself to go back to last year's team, which didn't hit its stride until Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and company got going late. And maybe it's P.J. Washington. But that is the unknown, and that's what creates angst amongst the fans is you don't know. You've seen him do it. You've seen this Kentucky program do it. But there is no guarantee that it will happen.
This team, that's right.
True. Every team's different, right?
Sure. P.J. Washington attacks those rebounds, doesn't he? It's a loose ball in the air, and that's the mentality that he has.
That was a great feed from Parker Van Dyke that ends up in another Utah foul.
That was a good, hard monster on the low block by Kentucky. And we taught it in the first half, and when that help defense comes down on the low block with high hands and they really tighten up the airspace around those low blocks, you're doing some good things on defense. Watch Kentucky right here. This is just you go defensively where the opposite of where the primary defender is. And I think it was Keldon Johnson that came in and read where the high shoulder was and forced that thing back out.
So P.J. Washington at the free throw line. Played for his dad, Paul, at Finley Prep in Las Vegas.
Here's why I like P.J. Washington posting up. On post-ups this year, coming into this ball game, he was 10 out of 19 on true post-up touches. That's 54%. And only 4 times out of 30 post touches has he turned it over. A lot of coaches, Tom, right now, they're afraid to throw the ball to the low block because there's a turnover waiting to happen. Travis and PJ, they don't turn it over. They're like at a 13 to 14% turnover rate on the low block. That's where the offense needs to run through for this Kentucky team.
Van Dyke with the drive. Bearfield forced into a turnover.
Where was he going? Like, Crisco's asking the same thing. Where were you going? You went right to the heart of the defense instead of reversing the ball to the other side of the floor off the bounce or off the pass. And I think Larry's going to say, you know what? He said, you come sit down and talk with me. You took the ball right back where it came from, where the defense is. There's four white jerseys sitting there waiting on you. And Crisco he's not even going to acknowledge it. Just sit down. Like, what did you see that made you think you could drive that gap? There is no right answer.
Here's Keldon Johnson. 18 for Johnson. He made his first 4 threes. And he knocks down both free throws. Got a really good one coming up next with North Carolina and Gonzaga. You think that one might be in the 90s or higher?
Yeah, 90s or higher, yes. That's not a physical North Carolina team. And if Gonzaga is going to get punched out in the NCAA tournament, they're going to have to respond to their last 2 losses of the year, or their last 2 losses they've had, Florida State and Tennessee, 2 physically strong teams that just physically willed their way to wins against Gonzaga. It's amazing what Fewey has done with his club, considering Killian Tilly's not him out there, and that's a no back down program from Gonzaga, and that's their last tough test of the year right now until they get to March.
For Roy Williams, point guard Kobe White averages 3.5 assists a game. Did not play last time out against UNCW. He is expected to play today, returning from an ankle injury. Another Utah turnover. Johnson went on the floor to get it. Both of them did. First it was Jason, then Keldon. Possession arrow belongs to the Utes.
I'll see North Carolina in a couple of weeks. I think it's interesting. North Carolina does not have one guy in the top 10 of the ACC in scoring, but they got 3 guys in that 14 to 15-point range. It's just really good effort right there. Just good, clean effort. Officials did a good job. Doug Shows, Randy McCall, Chuck Jones stepping in.
Mark Few, by the way, told Allison Williams today at shoot-around that Gonzaga will dial it back a little bit. They don't want to get into a true track meet with North Carolina. They'll have to pick their spots. So John Calipari's team with a 61-47 lead here, and Utah with the timeout. They've got FAMU coming up next. They still have Nevada left on their schedule on December 29th. But it seems like this Kentucky team, Jim, that's the story here in the SEC is, can Kentucky return to prominence as one of 4 ranked teams. This looks like a big step forward.
So far it has been. I think there's some separation between Auburn and Tennessee and the rest of the SEC. I think there's a gap right now as we're a couple of weeks out from SEC play. Kentucky is going to get better, though. This is a young team. You look at Tennessee right now, that's an old team. Auburn is an old team. They're going to continue to improve because Pearl and Rick Barnes can coach their tail off. But how much better can they get compared to the upside of Kentucky? I don't know. Kentucky right now, they're trailing in the race. And the race is going to, that official starting gun is going to go off in a couple of weeks at Alabama. But Auburn and Tennessee, 2 teams out of the SEC right now that are legitimate Final Four / national champion contenders.
2 seconds on the shot clock for Utah. Here's Gotch, quick release. Not going to get there. And a shot clock violation. John Calipari's going to be thrilled with his defense. Utah plays into it somewhat because Larry Krzyzkowiak's team is very deliberate on the offensive side. They use a lot of the clock.
And Tom, they don't have enough offense without Bearville, their leading scorer, having an impact on the game. And he has had no impact on this game. Kentucky's size, I think, has bothered that 6'1" guard.
They have scheduled very aggressively this season. You mentioned Nevada's still on the schedule. Corner 3, Keldon Johnson. He's got 22.
He has knocked down 3-point shots a day, and not one time has he had to shoot a bad pass. So important for high percentage shooters when you go back and look at film.
Big difference, huh? It seems minute. Shot blocked. Gotch twisted his ankle.
Gotta shoot it.
Shot clocks at 1. Floater. Caught the rim and stays alive. And Booth Gotch can barely put weight on his right leg. He wants to stay in the game. He's got a TV timeout to let the trainer look at it. 64-47 Kentucky. Whatever John Calipari's been drawn up has worked. Kentucky has hit 50% of their threes. They're 9 of 18. Keldon Johnson's made 6 of 7.
Well, he's shooting clean passes. And watch where Montgomery delivers the ball. Stop it right there. He throws it to the right side of a right-handed shooter, right where the word K is in Kentucky. And that's something simple but so important for a shooter. There's another pass delivered right across the chest for Hero to step into. You don't want guys having to reach down or out to the side or up high. You certainly never shoot a bad pass that you catch below your knees unless it's a short clock situation. You look up, Tom, Kentucky only has 5 turnovers in this ball game. They moved the ball well against this Utah zone / matchup / switching, sagging man-to-man.
I love your point about the passes. What a difference the little things, the details make as Hagens drives. I mean, it's like the difference.
That's a big boy ball.
A.J. Washington on the glass.
Yeah, it's the small stuff that makes a big difference.
Booth Gotch is down in front of, I should say, at the end of the Utah bench. He turned his ankle right before the timeout. Watch it as he gets tangled up with Ashton Hagens, right foot on right foot.
It didn't roll completely flat like we've seen in some replays. I certainly hope he'll be fine. I've been very impressed with this kid. Just his demeanor, his toughness, his slicing ability with and without the ball.
9 for Washington. Booth Gotch has 20 points, his season high, career high for the freshman.
Illegal screen.
That's his second time Utah's been called for that. That time it's Brandon Morley, the 7-footer out of Salt Lake Community College.
Morley never got set, but also for the offensive player with the ball, I believe it was Bearfield, like you got to drive your guy down, Tom, and get some separation, then attack that on-ball screen. Not easy to drive Ashton Hagens down, though.
Here's Quickly.
Another clean look, another clean pass. I mean, there's no pressure right now on Kentucky because of the zone, but still, they're making the right pass at the right time to the right spot.
The details. It's like the difference between Dan Issel and Van Issel. One's a great ball player, another one's a mode of transportation. It's just one letter. Bearfield gets cut off. And from straight ahead, it's Riley Batten. His first triple. That wasn't a perfect pass.
No, it wasn't. You saw the result.
I heard a story about LeBron James that he talks to his teammates about how they like to receive the ball, and before he throws it, and it could be you want the laces horizontal to shoot it or you want them vertical, he will deliver the ball to you perfectly because he's such a great athlete and he knows how important that is.
That's as detailed as you can get.
Speaking of LeBron, catch SportsCenter later tonight on ESPN after the New Orleans Bowl with Bucci and Anderson. They'll have all the highlights from the first day of Bowl Mania, plus Texans Jets and Broncos Browns postgame coverage. And LeBron and the Lakers take on the Hornets in front of his Airness SportsCenter after college football on ESPN and the ESPN half. Did you see MJ the other day?
Slap Malik
Monk
right?
in the back of the head.
Yeah.
What do you think? That was as parental a head slap as I've ever seen in professional sports.
Respectful head slap. I think Tyler Hero is becoming a real force off of curls and wrapping screens into the paint because he has a very good finish around that 8-10 foot mark.
Well, we saw that early, right? We saw that from him this summer in the Bahamas. I think he was labeled as a shooter, but he's really a scorer.
No, he's a ball player. Like, he does a lot of things. Defensively, he was matched up as much on Miles Powell at Seton Hall in the second half as much as anybody. I know the Powell kid went off.
Yeah, he did.
But it's just the confidence level that Calipari now has in Tyler Hero, saying not only are you not, the weak guy in our defensive end, I trust you to take on their toughest guy. That's what I'm talking about right there. He just has an instinct to wrap screens and curl into jump shots, wrap them into floaters. He has that about him. And when that three ball starts going down at that 40% rate like the release looks like it should, and this kid could be that 15, 16 point every night scorer to go with P.J. Washington and Reed Travis and Keldon Johnson. And now you have a balanced offensive attack for Kentucky in SEC play.
One more free throw coming from Bearfield. Charles Jones with a word for him. By the way, Utah took advantage of this trip to bring a lot of boosters out. They sold packages on the team charter. There's some of the Utah fans who have made the trip. And Larry Kraskowiak went around to shake hands and press the flesh a little bit when they got to Lexington, and he saw one couple that he'd never seen before. Introduced himself. Hey, great to see you guys. Haven't seen you on these trips before. Are you new to being Utah boosters? And the lady responded, well, actually, Coach, no. We live in Salt Lake City, but we're Kentucky fans, and we couldn't pass up the trip to fly on the charter to go to Lexington to watch our Cats.
They bought 2 seats to charter with Utah, but they're Kentucky fans. Only a Kentucky fan would do that. If I was Crisco, I would have said, hey, you got to find your own way home. I'm sorry. Like, we're not allowing spies on our team playing.
We got your money, but that's it. He did say, no blue. No blue on the flight home.
Right. Did you see that spin move by Reed Travis? He punished people last year, the last couple of years at Stanford, from that elbow area and down. And we see him playing low and loaded on that low block. But I'm telling you now, he is hard to handle with those elbow touches, with his quickness and his ability to spin quickly into shots from the logo down.
Good news for the Utes. Gotch back on the floor, but we got to reach in and it'll put Reed Travis at the free throw line. And that's what I was just going to say with Reed Travis, Jimmy. What he did so well in the Pac-12 at Stanford was not just get those drives, but a lot of times that would lead to this, a trip to the free throw line.
Well, what he's doing right now, he's the sixth best free throw rate in the country. And that's based upon a player's ability to get to the free throw line in relationship to how often he attempts to score. And I think we mentioned in the first half, he gets to the free throw line, Tom, 1 out of every 3 post plays. Like, that's an alarming rate in a good way if you're Kentucky and 22 in white. He's either going to score or get fouled or both.
Already has his degree, Science, Technology, and Society from Stanford. Led Jared Hass's program, where he was probably going to be the preseason Pac-12 Player of the Year, to come to Kentucky. Travis challenged there by Allen, who's playing with 4 fouls.
See what Kentucky was doing? 2-3 zone. And it's a big team now with big guards, and no longer a Quad A Green as a 6'1 guard. If Kentucky wants to go zone for the rest of the season, it's going to be a big, long, lanky, take up your airspace type zone, and Cal's going to use last 3 or 4 minutes to work on it. So far, he's given up 2 layups. It's not working.
That one to Brandon Morley.
He's played 2 possessions and given up 2 rim shots out of his zone defense.
Hero dumps it into Travis. Mismatch with Gotch.
Creates angles, doesn't he? Those big shoulders, man. He uses that left one to contact and separate as well as we have in the college game.
So he's got the power game, right?
Oh, my
God.
gosh.
He's been working on the finesse game. And when we left practice Friday afternoon, who was on the floor?
Reed Travis.
Doing all of his ball handling work.
He is raw effort is what he is.
A fadeaway is off the mark. P.J. Washington couldn't find it. Look at that. Brandon Morley has another bucket.
I would say this about Reed Travis going forward. Expect him to start setting more devastating screens for Hero and Keldon Johnson to work off of. He's not as good of a screener as he should be with that type of a body.
Hero looking for him, goes to Washington. And P.J. Washington walked with it. Kentucky's put 80 on the board. 2.5 to go here before we get you to Carolina and Gonzaga, and the Cats cruising. Utah home just about every season. 6 times from 93 to 2005, Kentucky ended Utah's season, including Kentucky's 93 team that went to the Final Four. They had Jamal Mashburn on it. They had Travis Ford on it. He's coaching at St. Louis, but all of those guys were honored here today. Great to see them and see them around practice in the program the last couple of days.
It was the 98 team, right, that beat Utah
in the national championship.
And Rick Majerus, late in his years, anytime he was out somewhere, maybe at a restaurant and a Kentucky game was on, like he would just freeze. That's the one game he said I never got past. Utah had a 10-point lead in the second half in the national championship. It's so hard to get to that spot. And talking to guys on his staff that were with him those last 3 or 4 years at St. Louis, they said that's the one game Rick always said I've never gotten past that Kentucky loss.
Gotch back in the game, playing gingerly on that ankle, draws a foul on sophomore Nick Richards. So if Nick Richards, by the way, blossoms from his freshman year to sophomore year, he hasn't really hit that stride yet, but who's to say he can't be the guy that blossoms in the second half of the season? He could be second semester sophomore Nick Richards.
Absolutely. I mean, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a year ago right now wasn't what he was in February and March. I'd also keep my eye on E.J. Montgomery. I think that's a kid that's very skilled on Kentucky, which is a dominant offensive rebounding team. Per minutes played, he's their best offensive rebounder. Talking about 23 and White. He's a long-arm guy that's highly skilled offensively that could have some bust-out games in SEC play. And you would just, to me, you keep an eye on E.J. Montgomery going forward.
If you're Utah, you have to love the performance tonight from Booth Gotch. This is a Utah team that Ken Pom predicts them to win only 7 games in the Pac-12. 7 of their 18. But if Booth Gotch can give you 20, which is more than double his season average, and you can get some sort of performance and production from Cedric Bearfield, you're going to be in more conference games than out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. That Pac-12 is wide open. They are searching for quality wins in non-conference. Washington has a chance this evening against Virginia Tech. But the best non-conference win right now in that league, it's Arizona State maybe knocked off
Mississippi State,
you know.
Bobby Hurley's going to play 3 SEC teams, by the way, and he's got a weird schedule this week. Arizona State is at Georgia tonight, and then Monday night over on the SEC Network, I'll be in Nashville. Andy Kennedy and I will have the call as Arizona State and Vandy matchup, and he said, it's really interesting, he said he did it purposefully with the Pac-12 schedule in mind. He said, we want to schedule this SEC portion of it, this is Arizona State, like we do our Pac-12 games. Well, you play one, day off, play another.
Well, yes, that league has not met expectations, talking about the Pac-12. It didn't last year either. And it's way too early to start looking at projections, but Joe Lunardi's as dialed in as anybody. He has 3, maybe 4 Pac-12 teams right now, based on what they've done. And
is it just cyclical?
It's a short – can be, yes, can be. The talent has been there in that league. They've lost guys early to the NBA, but so has every league. They're just not getting it done. They're not getting it done. Football as well.
Arizona. Oh, you put football on us. Arizona's probably the case study there because Sean Miller lost a ton of dudes from the team last year. And
the whole team.
He has cobbled together a fantastic squad in relation to perhaps the raw talent. But if Arizona can, I mean, they go to the tournament every year, right?
That's the expectation.
Yeah.
You know what the expectations are for that guy? Final Four every year.
Final Four.
That's not realistic expectation, but that's what you sign up for when you're the head coach of Kentucky. His days, it's amazing how many balls he's juggling at once.
It was funny. You said to him yesterday, we had all this drama going on around this program. The 93 team was in there. All this commotion and traffic that goes through his life. And you said something to him like,
you have normal days?
But what my response is, that is his normal.
That's his normal day?
That is his normal.
Craziness is normal when you're the head coach of Kentucky. But he manages it awfully well now. I probably have been to 100 Kentucky practices in John Calipari's tenure here, if not more. Not one time have I walked in and there not be a minimum of 10 and sometimes up to 40 people watching practice. From scouts to boosters to different people that, they off of auctions. And he has a magical touch, man, to keep this whole Big Blue Nation rolling down the right way. A good bounce back for Kentucky today, coming off of the Seton Hall loss.
Jamal Baker and Johnny David have both entered the game for Kentucky. Baker gets off his first shot and drills it. Listen, he was told by John Calipari, you get in the game, you have to shoot.
Yeah. And that's he's 6'4", so he's going to have the ability to make some guarded shots. He's a pretty solid defender, but he has only practiced 3 weeks total in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
So he's way behind, but he is on the floor to shoot that basketball.
You know how many kids would love to hear that? And Baker started his Kentucky career 2 for 2.
I will say this. He's coachable.
Yeah.
Don't have to tell me twice.
2 touches and a pair of triples for Baker. Morley off the top of the backboard.
Kept his foot down.
Utah's going to fall to 4 and 5 in this one. They got FAMU coming to town Monday night at the Huntsman Center. And Kentucky's next in action against North Carolina. That'll be an interesting one in Chicago. Jamal Baker makes his first 2 attempts as a Kentucky Wildcat. That guy told him, look to score as soon as you get in the game. Here's Timmy Allen at the free throw line. Don't forget Mark Few and Roy Williams, Gonzaga and North Carolina coming up next from Chapel Hill at the Dean Smith Center. Should be a thriller there. Quickly, we'll run the clock out. Kentucky will bounce back from its second loss of the season, go to 8-2 with the Tar Heels on deck. And they now lead this all-time series with Utah, having won 10 of the 12 meetings. John Calipari's team shot 57% from deep, 12 of 21. Keldon Johnson hit 6 of 7. Tyler Hero hit a couple. And the Cats finished this game by making 6 of their last 7 shots. And as a whole, they shot 59% in taking their record to 8-2. So a comfortable win for John Calipari and his Cats. And defensively, they were magnificent. They held the Utes to just 44% shooting in this one. They turned them over 18 times. And they held Utah scoreless on their last 5 attempts. Jimmy Dykes is on the floor. He's with John Calipari.
Cal, a bounce-back game today after the loss to Seton Hall. You've said all along. You told me back in October, it's the best three-point shooting club I have. They showed it today. What were your thoughts on your club's ability to shoot that ball?
Here's the issue right now for us. Our spacing has been awful because we're not really worried about the other guy. Post the ball in our bad spacing. Second thing is we haven't been willing passers who see the next pass before they catch the ball. We've worked all week on it. I'm telling you, this is one of the best three-point shooting teams that I've had. Now, that being said, I've done this 35 years. we are not going to shoot 33s a game. We just don't play that way. We're going to try to beat you 2-pointers, free throws, and crack a game open with threes. It's how I coach.
Coach, they're going to run a package of Keldon Johnson knocking down threes. I talked about in the game the clean passing today and the accurate passing to shooters. The importance of that today for Keldon Johnson going off.
But again, willing passers see the next pass before they catch the ball. We have been focused on the ball, meaning let me try to score. I can, I'll throw you the ball, or I'm going to leave and then throw you the ball, and every pass is a hard pass to handle. But we're getting better defensively. This is going to be a process. I was so happy for Jamal Baker. I'm going to be honest with you. Forgot he was on the bench.
Hey, he's coachable.
And I was playing those other 8, and then when he went in, I just told him in practice, you heard what I said, you're here to score the ball, man. Let that thing go.
Yeah, and he did. Coachable guy. Cal, congratulations. Thank you for your time. Tommy?
Jimmy, he's the best. He knows exactly where the TV camera is. He looked right into it. He forgot about Jamal Baker. Baker did not forget how to shoot. Our final, Kentucky over Utah, 88-61. Don't forget a big one next, Gonzaga and North Carolina. Let's get you to Kevin and Jay in the studio.